She has not been sick in 3 years. Not a cold, not a stomach virus, not the thing that went through her office in February and took most of her colleagues 2 weeks to shake. She did not take precautions during those 2 weeks. She sat in the same meetings, used the same kitchen, rode the same crowded train. She did not increase her vitamin C intake or begin wearing a mask or start washing her hands with any additional frequency. She simply lived the way she lives, and whatever went through that office did not go through her. You are sitting across from her in her apartment in Tokyo, and you have been, since you arrived, trying to understand what is different. She does not take supplements. The bathroom cabinet you noticed when you arrived contained no vitamin D, no zinc, no elderberry extract, no probiotic capsule, no immune support blend with 17 ingredients, and a health claim that implies but does not quite state that it will prevent illness. There is a small ceramic pot of something beside the sink, some kind of skincare you think, but nothing pharmaceutical, nothing preventative in the sense the supplement industry means preventative. She has not been sick in 3 years. She has not been trying. The global supplement industry is worth over $200 billion. The immune support segment, the vitamin C, the zinc, the elderberry, the probiotic capsule, is among its fastest growing. The average household in the United States now spends more than $100 per month on supplements, a significant portion of them purchased in anticipation of illness. And the evidence base for most of them, when examined rigorously, is thin. Not zero. Thin. Japan, by contrast, has among the lowest rates of upper respiratory illness in the developed world. Not because Japanese people take better supplements. Because the daily life, the food, the time spent in certain environments, the specific way the body is treated at the end of the working day, the relationship with sleep, has been producing, for generations, the conditions under which the immune system functions at a different level than it does in most Western lives. 7 things. None of them come in a capsule. All of them are embedded so deeply in the ordinary rhythm of her day that she has never thought of any of them as immune support. They are simply what a day is. Here is what they look like from the inside. The immune system does not need supplements. This is the thing the supplement industry would prefer you did not fully understand. It needs conditions. The conditions under which the immune response can be mounted quickly, accurately, and completely, and the conditions under which the chronic low-grade suppression of that response, which is the real cause of most people's susceptibility to illness, does not occur. The primary suppressant of the immune system is not poor nutrition, it is not lack of vitamin C, it is cortisol. The relationship between cortisol and immunity is one of the most well-documented in the entire field of psychoneuroimmunology. Elevated cortisol suppresses the production and activity of natural killer cells, the immune system's primary frontline defense against viruses and cancer, reduces the production of interferon, reduces antibody response, and increases inflammatory markers in a way that paradoxically makes the body more susceptible to the very conditions inflammation is supposed to protect against. The person who is chronically stressed is chronically immunosuppressed. Not dramatically, not in a way that produces obvious symptoms until the illness itself arrives, but measurably, consistently, at the level of the immune cell counts that her doctor checked last year and found unremarkable, because unremarkable for her means excellent. This is why the previous videos in this series were also, without naming it, immune support, the morning without the phone, the formal ending to the workday, ofuro and the thermoregulatory cascade, the completion meal, the night audit, the sleep entered from physiological preparedness. Each of those habits was documented for its effect on cortisol, and every reduction in cortisol is a simultaneous upregulation of immune function. The supplement industry sells the outcome. Japan built the conditions. And this video addresses the 6 specific things she does that sit on top of that cortisol architecture and drive the immune system further still. Here is what most people do not know about the immune system. Between 70 and 80% of all immune tissue in the human body is located in the gut. The gut-associated lymphoid tissue, the collection of immune structures embedded in the walls of the intestinal tract, is the largest immune organ in the body by a significant margin. It is the primary site where the immune system learns to distinguish between threats and non-threats, between the bacteria it should fight and the bacteria it should not, between the foods it should absorb and the pathogens it should repel. The gut microbiome, the community of approximately 38 trillion bacteria that inhabit the large intestine, is the immune system's primary training ground and operating environment. A diverse, well-fed microbiome produces the bacterial metabolites that regulate immune cell development, calibrate the inflammatory response, and communicate directly with the vagus nerve to influence the whole body immune status. A depleted, poorly nourished microbiome, the microbiome of the ultra-processed food diet, the microbiome of the person who has taken multiple courses of antibiotics and never actively replenished what was lost, produces a fundamentally different immune capacity. Research from the Weizmann Institute of Science has established that the composition of the gut microbiome is a stronger predictor of susceptibility to viral infection than any single nutrient or supplement, not which specific bacteria are present, but the diversity, the richness of the ecosystem. And the single most powerful dietary driver of gut microbiome diversity, documented across multiple large-scale studies, is the regular consumption of fermented foods. She eats fermented food every day, not as a health practice, as food. Every morning, she eats miso soup. Not the miso soup you have had at a restaurant, made from a powder or a paste that was manufactured at temperature and had most of its living bacterial content destroyed in the process. Miso from a crock, slowly fermented over months, containing the specific strains of Lactobacillus and Aspergillus oryzae that have been the foundation of the Japanese gut microbiome for generations. The soup takes 4 minutes to make. She has been making it every morning for as long as she can remember. With the soup comes tsukemono, pickled vegetables, fermented in salt or brine, alive with bacterial activity. Not the vinegar-pickled cucumbers sold in Western supermarkets, which are preserved rather than fermented and contain no living bacteria. The specific, slow-fermented pickle that the lactic acid bacteria produce, creating the same bacterial diversity that the miso provides from a different source. And occasionally, natto, the fermented soybeans that the Japanese have been eating for over 1,000 years, which research from Hiroshima University has found to produce natto kinase, a specific enzyme with antiviral properties that no other food source reliably provides. 3 fermented foods, sometimes 2, sometimes all 3, every single morning, before anything else. Not a supplement. Not a functional food with a health claim on the packaging. Food. The same food that Japan has been eating for centuries, which has been feeding the same gut microbiome for centuries, which has been producing the same immune competence for centuries. She does not think about any of this when she makes the soup. She thinks about the soup. Once a week, she spends time in a park. Encountered in this series before, in the context of the anxiety video, and here again, in a different context entirely, for a reason that the anxiety research does not cover. Dr. Ching Li at Nippon Medical School has produced some of the most important research on the physiological effects of time in natural environments. His finding on NK cells, the natural killer cells that are the immune system's primary defense against viruses, is among the most replicated in environmental medicine. Subjects who spent 2 days in a forest environment showed a 50% increase in NK cell activity that persisted for 7 days after the exposure ended. Not during the exposure, for 7 days after it. The mechanism is partially the phytoncides, the volatile organic compounds released by trees that activate the immune system through pathways that are still being characterized. But the mechanism is also the cortisol. The natural environment, as documented in the anxiety video, significantly reduces cortisol, and lower cortisol produces higher NK cell activity. The forest is not only adding to the immune system, it is removing the primary thing that was suppressing it. She does not go to the park for immune support. She goes because the park is there and the morning is happening in it. But the NK cells she brings back are functioning at a level that her office cannot produce and her bathroom cabinet cannot replicate. Once a week, for as long as she can remember, the immune system has been maintained by the visits without being asked. She drinks green tea in the morning. Not as an immune practice, as tea, the way Japan has been drinking it for over 1,000 years. In Japan, green tea is not a wellness product. It is not the supplement industry's answer to antioxidants in liquid form. It is what is served in the morning, what is on the desk at the office, what arrives alongside the meal, what a person drinks the way another person drinks water, continuously, without annotation, without thinking about what it is doing. What it is doing is significant. The catechins in green tea, specifically epigallocatechin gallate, or EGG, have been the subject of extensive research at the University of Shizuoka and multiple Japanese institutions over decades. EGG has been found to inhibit the replication of influenza virus in human airway epithelial cells, to reduce the ability of multiple respiratory viruses to bind to host cell receptors, to enhance the activity of regulatory T cells that modulate the inflammatory response in a way that prevents the immune overreaction, the cytokine storm that makes some viral infections dangerous rather than merely uncomfortable. She drinks 3 to 4 cups a day. She has been drinking 3 to 4 cups a day for most of her adult life. The antiviral protection that the catechins provide has been building in her system not over the 3 weeks that the supplement industry's product promises, but over the 30 years that the tea arrived with the morning. The food she eats in February is not the food she eats in August. Shun, the concept of seasonal eating encountered in the refrigerator video, appears again here in a different context. Not as a purchasing philosophy or a waste reduction practice, but as an immune support system so old it predates the concept of nutrition science. Food at its seasonal peak contains more of everything the immune system requires than food out of season. Not as a general statement about nutrition, but as a specifically documented finding. The vitamin C in a strawberry purchased in June, grown nearby, and eaten within days of being picked, is not the same compound in the same quantity as the vitamin C in a strawberry purchased in January, grown in Spain, and refrigerated for 2 weeks. The former is food. The latter is food-shaped. Japan's Shun philosophy produces a diet that, across the year, delivers nutrients at the moment they are most available, most bioavailable, and most appropriate to the season's specific immune demands. Winter Shun produces the foods that the immune system needs during respiratory virus season. Spring Shun produces the foods that support the liver's detoxification processes after winter. The seasonal rhythm of eating is not a lifestyle preference. It is an immune strategy that operates without requiring anyone to think of it as one. She buys what is abundant right now. The immune system receives what it needs right now. The relationship has been running without either party having been introduced. The ofuro, encountered in the burnout video as a recovery mechanism, is encountered here again as an immune mechanism. The two are not separate. They are the same bath, producing 2 simultaneous effects through 2 related pathways. The heat stress of full-body immersion at 40 to 41 degrees Celsius activates what immunologists call the heat shock response, the production of heat shock proteins, a family of molecular chaperones that play a direct role in immune function. Heat shock protein 70, the most studied of the family, has been found in research published in the Journal of Immunology to enhance the activity of natural killer cells, to increase the efficiency of antigen presentation, and to directly stimulate the innate immune response in a way that no supplement currently replicates. The heat shock response is, in essence, the immune system being exercised. Challenged mildly by controlled thermal stress, it responds by upregulating its own function, the same principle that makes physical exercise beneficial to immune health, but through a different mechanism and without the cortisol spike that intense exercise produces. She does not take the ofuro for her immune system. She takes it because she has taken it every evening since she was a child, and the evening without it is an evening that feels incomplete. But the heat shock proteins that her lymphocytes have been encountering every evening for 30 years are part of the explanation for why her NK cell counts are what they are, and why February's office virus did not find what it was looking for when it arrived. The immune system's deepest work happens while the body sleeps. This is not a metaphor or a wellness platitude. It is a specific physiological fact with a specific mechanism. During slow-wave sleep, the deep non-REM sleep that the body spends the first half of the night pursuing, the immune system performs the majority of its maintenance operations. The cytokines that regulate immune response are produced in their highest quantities during slow-wave sleep. The T cells and B cells that form immunological memory, the mechanism by which the immune system remembers a previous pathogen and responds faster to future encounters, consolidate their memory during slow-wave sleep. The NK cell activity that Shinrin-yoku elevates is maintained and deepened by the sleep that follows. The person who sleeps poorly is not merely tired, they are immunosuppressed. A study from Carnegie Mellon University found that people who slept fewer than 6 hours per night were 4 times more likely to develop a cold when exposed to a rhinovirus than those who slept 7 or more hours. The single most powerful immune intervention available is not a supplement, it is sleep. She sleeps as the burnout video described, entered from physiological preparedness, the cortisol architecture having set the conditions, the ofuro having initiated the thermoregulatory cascade, the night audit having closed the cognitive loops. The sleep she enters is the sleep that produces the deep, slow-wave phases that the immune system requires, and the immune system, given those phases consistently across 30 years of evenings, has become the immune system that did not catch what the office caught in February. You are still in the apartment. The miso is on the stove for tomorrow's breakfast. The green teacup is beside the sink. The park visible from the window is the park she will be in on Saturday morning. The ofuro is full. 7 things. None of them came from a bottle. The fermented anchor, the miso, the tsukemono, the natto, feeding the gut microbiome that is 70% of the immune system, every morning, before anything else. Not a probiotic capsule with 4 strains and a best before date. The living, slowly fermented food that the Japanese gut microbiome has been shaped by for generations. Shinrin Yoku, the weekly hour in the park that raises NK cell activity by 50% and sustains it for 7 days, doing what no supplement has replicated at this magnitude or this duration. An hour. Once a week. The trees providing what the pharmacy cannot. Green tea. 3 to 4 cups, every day. The catechins accumulating over decades into the antiviral protection that the supplement industry has been trying to bottle since the research began. Not a capsule. Tea. Made and drunk in the morning the way it has been made and drunk for 1,000 years. Shun, the seasonal food at its nutritional peak, feeding the immune system what it needs at the moment the season actually requires it. The winter that produces winter's immune needs. The summer that provides summer's anti-inflammatory abundance. The ofuro heat protocol, the daily heat stress that exercises the immune system through the heat shock response, the NK cells upregulated by the thermal challenge that has been arriving every evening for 30 years. Not an ice bath or a sauna protocol. A bath. Hot, deep, and daily. And sleep. The physiologically prepared entry into the slow wave phases where the immune system does its deepest maintenance. The sleep that is not the sleep of exhaustion, but the sleep that every preceding habit produced the conditions for. Tonight, one thing. Tomorrow morning, instead of reaching for the vitamin C, make miso soup. Not from a powder, from paste. The kind from a jar, ideally refrigerated, the kind where the label lists bacteria rather than ingredients. 3 minutes. A spoonful of paste, some dashi or hot water, perhaps a piece of tofu. That is the beginning of the gut microbiome that is 70% of the immune system. Not next month, tomorrow. The woman in the apartment has not been sick in 3 years. She did not build that with supplements. She built it with 3 minutes every morning, repeated until the gut microbiome that resulted was not the gut microbiome that needed supplementing. That is available to you. Tomorrow morning. Share this with someone who gets sick every season and wonders what they are missing. They may not be missing a supplement. They may be missing a morning.